The initial pricing objection. You see, always stay curious. Always seek to understand how they arrived at the price. Always ask, how did you arrive at this number? Well, Mike, you're the professional, please tell me. No, I'm just curious. You came up with the number. There's a lot of data available to you. How did you arrive at that number? How did you arrive at that number? Right, so after looking at the research we've covered together, would you share with me how you arrived at the price? Ask for their justification. It's okay. You guys are working together for the common cause of selling the property, and especially today, there's immense data available to our customers. So obviously they have an idea of what they believe the price is worth, and you want to ask how they arrived at it, right? They might have talked about the property across the street that had the new kitchen and bath, but they have the new kitchen, new bath, new roof, new boiler, new pavers, new backyard. You want to understand where they're at, or they may say, well, my Aunt Sally said that the house around the block sold for 1.5, so I believe that we're worth 1.5. Seek to understand how they arrived at the price. Then listen to their response and ask appropriate follow-up questions if needed. You could also say this, we could take that approach, however, in doing so, your number one pricing / timing hot button won't be satisfied. Well, Mike, what does that mean? Well, you said you wanted to get maximum dollar and you wanted to sell it in a reasonable amount of time, and based on the approach that you shared or the price you shared, it doesn't look like we're going to hit that goal. Then you can go on to explain why. So to justify your point, let's re-examine one or all of the pricing tools while saying, what we must remember is that pricing game is all about justification. You see, when we talk to the buyers, you have to justify the value. You can't just come up with a number. Oh, well, you know, I think my house is worth 2.2 because I put that soundproof, guys, you know, you've heard this one before. I put the soundproof stuff between the walls and they can't hear it in the other rooms. And, you know, I put that really super expensive refrigerator that has an iPad in it. That's great. But can I ask you a question? Look, guys, watch this. Can I ask you a question? If you were the buyer, would you pay an extra $50,000 for what you just shared with me? Now be careful. Once you ask that question, there's going to be a lot of people that become defensive. They'll become defensive. Oh yeah, well, absolutely, I will pay $50,000. Practice pausing and say, really? Would you really pay an extra $50,000 for a new refrigerator with an iPad in it? Or would you rather pay $50,000 less and go buy your own refrigerator and iPad in it? Guys, you need to be aggressive, also passive aggressive, especially at the beginning, setting that right price. Don't just dance and acknowledge, because if you acknowledge them at the table and say, yes, this is agreeable, in 30 days or 60 days, whenever you're gonna sit down and talk to them, they control you. But Mike, you know, this is a super aggressive person, you know, or Mike, I know my people, I know my customers. This is the way they all operate. Guys, customers are customers. Customers are customers. If you let them control, then why are they hiring you? The reason why they're hiring you is because they're looking for your professional opinion, your professional advice, your leadership. Note, allowing sellers to self-discover using the 7-step pricing strategy virtually eliminates the above objection. You see, because why? It satisfies all the boxes. You've covered all the things, you know, what things expired for, what things have sold for, what things are in contract for, days on market. Once you've covered all that, see, most agents don't get into all of that. They give them the eye, you know what? I'm good. I can tell by looking at this house, you put a lot of work into it, and I think it's worth $1 million. right? It's a, oh wow, magic, the magic agent walked in. And that's when you're missing all this information, that's when these issues come up. When you don't sit down and be patient and go over these pricing strategies is when this happens to you. Think about it. It's happened to me because sometimes sellers are really, really good. And what I mean by really good, Mike, just get to the point. Just get, Mike, I've heard this before. Just get to the point. What I do is I pause and I just look at them and I say, are you done now? Would you like me to proceed and talk about my 7-step pricing strategy? Mike, I told you I don't have time for that. Pause. You brought me in here, Johnny, and you wanted my opinion. This is the way I operate. Would you allow me to move forward? No, 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 no. John, you brought me in here and I've got a plan. Would you just allow me just a couple more minutes to go through my plan, my pricing strategy? You see, guys, you're gaining control because you're going to need, as a consultant, you're going to need control. You are the professional. That's why they're hiring you. If they're controlling things and you're listening to them and it actually sells, then really they actually got ripped off. Because they hired you for your professional opinion, your professional advice, your professional consultation, all the years of experience or even all the experience you have. And what guys, you've been coming to classes. You've been trained. This is what you do for a living every single day, day in and day out. Know your worth. See, remember, if sellers want to price over fair market value, they're mistakenly using their needs as justifications. Buyers do not care about the seller's needs. Isn't that true? The consumer doesn't care. The consumer knows what they want. We're all consumers, folks, aren't we? Right? If the iPhone was $5,000 and because the Apple said that they need the money for some odd reason, and we didn't have the money, we're not going to pay that money for that phone. The market would reject it. I know it's kind of apples and oranges, no pun intended, but it's true. The market establishes pricing for almost everything in our economy. Even the food we eat, right? Would you pay $50 for eggs or $50 for milk? Think about it. I'm not an economist, but I remember when they had these issues in the economy and prices of eggs went up. There were people really upset that it went from, like, let's say, I don't know, $3 to $4.50. It's really almost one and the same about the house. You have to justify the price to the buyer. You have to be able to explain why, not just trust me. Because that's what many agents during the upswing, the seller's market, that's what many agents did. They went, trust me, we've got a lot of buyers who are interested, guys. Now when the buyer tests you and you use that line and you're backed into a corner, what are you going to do when you didn't get that property sold in 3 weeks? And you use that tired line, we've got buyers, they're waiting out the door. What are you going to do when you adjust the price? What's the next excuse that you're going to use? Well, the deal fell apart. That's tough, because once you told them the deal fell apart, now the buyer gains leverage. Ready? Again, buyers don't care about the seller's needs. So using the pricing tools, seller unrealistically wants to set or use a benchmark price. Say this, per my research, the only thing your home has in common with the benchmark home, let's say the home across the street, is blank. Right, so let's say, for example, they said the home across the street sold for $950 and they wanted a price for $1,050,000. And I said, okay, well, how did you arrive at that? Well, Mike, I saw that their kitchen was a little dated and I just upgraded my kitchen. Okay, guys, pause. Okay, so what was the upgrades in the kitchen? All right, okay, you put granite countertops, you put the Sub-Zero appliances, fantastic. So my question to you is this: if you were a buyer and you asking me about this new kitchen, what would you say? What would you say if I told you they did a new kitchen? They would ask me, hey, well, how much did it cost? And the reason why they're asking is because if they knew that house across the street sold for $950 and you're asking $1,050,000, they're also trying to figure out what the value, what they're willing to pay for something. By the way, you redid the kitchen 4 years ago, so there's some depreciation to that. So guys, you have to compare apples to apples. As you see, these homes possess these amenities, which appears to be driving their value, right? Apples to apples. So that house doesn't have that new kitchen. Yes, you have the new kitchen, and we will price that in. We'll price it in, but do we believe, or do you believe that it's worth $100,000? Is the kitchen worth $100,000 more? Well, no, right? This is the way you're going to get it. Well, no, Mike, it's not worth $100,000 more, but I also have a brand new vanity in the bathroom, and I also just redid the floors. You see, you're seeking to understand, guys, as the agent, where they're arriving at this number. Why did they arrive at this price? Because why? Once they self-discover, see, a lot of times people will self-discover, if they're really serious about entering the market, they will self-discover that they've overpriced. It's incorrect. And you, my friends, will save time and money because you will have a listing that is priced fairly well when entering the market. All right, so the seller believes home is worth more because of a specific amenity, as we said. So we could say, per my research, that amenity is fairly common in this neighborhood and alone does not justify more value, right? Mike, I've got a porch. Okay, the 7 other houses down the block also have a porch. As you can see on the summary page, your main competitors also have this amenity, and you'll be priced below. This will be priced below you. Given that, how can we effectively compete? Ask them. See, seek to understand, ask more questions. Ask the seller, how do you think we can compete in the marketplace? If we position ourselves this way, how can we compete in the marketplace effectively if we're going to overprice? Ask them the question. Yes, the pushback sometimes is, Mike, you're the professional. Hey, John, I am the professional, but I've given you my opinion. We said to price it this way, you're asking to price it that way.